Hey, Dis After Dark listeners. I want to invite you all to join us over on Scare Zone, Halloween Horror Nights podcast. Scare Zone is a news, interview, history, and commentary podcast all about Universal's premier Halloween event. It's hosted by fans and experts like me, Logan Seculo, former WWE superstar Scotty 2 Hottie, and Dis After Dark's own Chris Ripley. Subscribe however you get podcasts and head over to scarezone.com for more information. We here at the show are proud supporters of Dis After Dark. And remember, keep your eyes closed and your ears open on Scare Zone.
Now, Craig, there's been a lot of anticipation about this. You do know the kind of weight that we are under to perform tonight on this first episode of Pop After Dark, don't you?
I think, yeah, but as well.
No. You know the pressure. You know the pressure.
Yeah, I know
Yeah.
the pressure.
You're prepared for the pressure.
Yeah, I've got the pressure.
Then let's get on with it. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, which is kind of the same thing I've already said. But welcome to the first Pop After Dark. I am Nick, and you are...
I am Craig.
Yeah! To the gruesome twosome. This is the kind of pilot, I suppose, of something we've been talking about. Another addition to the ever-expanding After Dark network.
Yeah, I mean, it's lovely talking about Disney, but you've got shackles on. It's lovely talking about Universal, but you've got screen-based shackles on. Yeah. There's a whole world out there. There's movies, there's games, there's toys, there's just stuff.
As Mary once sang, take these shackles off my feet, I want to dance.
Yeah.
They did say that.
It's not just us two. Everyone else is indisposed tonight. We just thought we're going to go for it. P-Dubs is currently chasing sheep around the Isle of Wight.
I think he's currently chasing Kevin Curtis Allen around.
Yeah.
That's the rumour. I don't know for sure.
Stalking him with the stalker. We think the talented Mr. Ripley is off somewhere.
Has got some internet problems, I think.
Yeah, he's being talented elsewhere.
Yeah.
He's probably on Logan at the moment.
Well, I hope he's not on Logan.
Yeah.
He probably won't like that.
I think Logan might like that.
Well, Ripley's a handsome chappy.
And Logan's got, he's got that rugged bear, about him.
He does grow a lot.
Mr. Dolan is in prison.
With Boniface.
With Boniface.
In the gulag.
Yeah. And
we're going to have... Well, the thing with this is a bit more of an experiment, full stop. So this is going to be the podcast we kind of let loose a little bit. So I know, Craig, you've got some people you've got lined up that you want to come on for guest appearances. I've got some people that I want to bring on for guest appearances. And they're people that you may have heard on other things. In some instances, you definitely won't have heard them because they're people that have expressed interest in doing podcasts and haven't found the right avenue, and hopefully this is going to be it. But for those that don't know what we're trying to achieve with this, as Craig said, it's not Disney, it's not Universal, and at times we may have to talk about things that cross paths because that's generally pop culture as well. But we're going to try and keep those for their respective shows, and this one really is for us to kind of let loose on movies, films, pop culture of all sorts, retro things, just whatever we want really. It's kind of like a potluck.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, we always start this After Dark with a beverage.
Yeah, we do.
I think it's only fitting for this show, bearing in mind it's called Pop After Dark, to ask, are you drinking pop?
I can be for the pretend audience. I'm drinking tap water from Liverpool.
Well, if you put it in a soda stream, other things are available that fizz water up, then that would class it. I've opted for Old Faithful Pepsi Max. It'd be wrong for me to kind of start the first episode of this new series drinking anything other than Pepsi Max, because I tend to drink that a lot. And if Pepsi Max or Pepsi are listening to this,
sponsor us.
We don't need sponsors. We've got some great sponsors still. But
we love you, Wendy.
Yeah,
we love you, Logan.
Yeah, but some free pop wouldn't go amiss. I think that's generally the thing. Now, we did ask the unofficial Dad's Army, the secret podcast page of This After Dark and After Dark Podcast Network, some questions about topics, but we did have our own things as well. And breaking news, really, Craig, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, definitely.
So we're probably the first podcast to talk about this, at least over here, I'd imagine. So, Craig, kick us off.
Well, I've just literally got off my Apple TV, and the iPhone 7 is launching. It's coming out for pre-order next week, along with the Apple Watch 2. They're not calling it the Apple Watch 2, it's the Apple Watch Series 2.
Yeah.
The Apple Watch Series 1 is still available for sale. They've increased the processing power of it and kept it out, so you can still buy that. But the Apple Watch Series 2 is coming out. GPS. It's got bigger processors. And what else has it got? Oh, it's fully waterproof. So you can now go swimming in your Apple Watch, which I've done anyway in my Apple Watch 1. I'm just going to get the prices up dead quick. Oh, and for the runners, P-dubs, the Apple Watch Night Edition is coming out. It looks, which is purely for runners with quick fire buttons that you can just go, I'm going on a run, bang, push this button, and away you go. The prices they've kept the prices the same, so it's the 38mm is $269. That's pounds, because we get ripped off.
We do get
it's
ripped off.
$269 or £269. Have a word with yourself, Apple. Or as much as I love you, you're still having us off there.
Yeah, but I have got a big tax bill to pay in Ireland now.
Yeah, and all that tax relief goes to providing all the kids in America with their free iPads, and all the teachers with free iMacs and free iPads. So figure that out. Maybe our kids in England need some of that as well. But anyway, so Series 2 is $369, which is the same price I paid for my Series 1 last year. So I will be upgrading. I don't know if you've got an Apple Watch or not.
I don't. This podcast doesn't provide me with enough money to buy an Apple Watch.
It might do.
It doesn't even provide me enough money to buy a Swatch watch, let alone an Apple Watch.
Well, the iPhone 7's come out. They finally retired the 16 gig, not enough storage.
Well, let's be honest. Who the bloody hell buys a 16 gig iPhone? Because it carries about 4 apps and about. Oh, excuse me, that's the pop. About 3 albums. I mean, it holds nothing.
Well, once what they were billing is it's iCloud based. Everything's iCloud based now, so you don't really need. But I've got over 1,000 photographs on my 128 gig iPhone 6 Plus sitting there now. So you've now got 32 gig, 128 gig, and 256 gig. So
now I think before we talk any further, because I mean I've only just got in from work, so I had a bit of a late one. So I've seen bits and pieces, but surely the biggest talking point about this phone is the fact there is, as has been long rumoured, so no one should be surprised, but there is no headphone jack.
Yeah, and I'm all right with that. I'm all right, Jack. I don't care.
Well, you know what? I was thinking about this because, again, this has been rumoured for a long time, so there was not a shock. But what I think is interesting with this is the fact, I don't know if you've ever used one, but because I've still got a 5S, I've been holding off purposely. I was going to upgrade to the 6S and I decided to hold off and waiting for this phone to come out. Now, my phone battery is terrible because I play a lot of games. When I commute, I'm often listening to a podcast, playing some games, right? So the battery needs charging constantly. I have
It's
a
a
power bank.
3-year-old phone now, isn't it? As
Yeah,
well.
yeah, and that doesn't help. But I use a power bank sometimes. If I've got a long journey, I'll use a power bank. But you wouldn't be able to use a power bank and earphones or headphones.
Yeah. You can if you go with Bluetooth headphones or the AirPods, which are launching in October for £159. They are a work of pure beauty. They are the same shape as the Apple earbuds now that you can get. So they literally plop into your ear. They're totally wireless. There's no wires. It's not Bluetooth. It's wireless technology. And they seamlessly transfer from your iPhone to your Apple Watch. So you can go out with your GPS Apple Watch loaded with music, use your earbuds to go for a run. They look absolutely beautiful. They've got a 5-hour. You can play back for 5 hours with them, and then you put them into a little cradle which holds a 24-hour charge. So then you can give them a little boost, and the whole device is charged up with the lightning pin.
Okay.
But they're covering all bases. They're killing off the headphone jack, but they're using the lightning connector. They're coming in the box with a set of standard Apple earphones with a lightning connector instead of the 3.5mm. And if you're still not happy about that, they're putting in a little adapter in the box with it, so you can still use your expensive 3.5 pin plug thing headphones with your new iPhone 7. So they've covered all bases.
You have to cover all bases, and mainly because we haven't talked about the other features of the phone, but the price points. I have seen the price points. It's a bloody expensive phone. Let's not, mess around with this. It is an expensive phone.
It is, but they're also, for the first time in the UK, they've launched the upgrade program. So, just pulling out an example for where are they? 128 gig iPhone 7 with Apple Care built in, interest-free payments, £38 a month.
That's not too bad, actually. For how long? For 2 years?
20 months. But the thing is, after 11 payments, you can trade that phone in and just get the new iPhone.
That's quite compelling. I'll be honest, that is very compelling to me, because
and that's SIM-free.
Yeah, because I have a rolling contract, like a monthly contract. So I'd rather I'd rather do that than end up paying 50 or 60 quid for a decent data allowance option, because that's generally what you have to.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, when I looked to upgrade last year to the 6S, I think my 5S contract was about £42 a month, and I think they wanted me to pay about £55 a month, I think, and that was for less data than I was getting currently for a 32 gig phone, and I was like, no, you're right. But that doesn't sound too bad.
Well, I'm paying now £19 a month, which I'm not. I'm paying 6 months 50%, so I'm paying £9.50 a month with 3.
Yep.
Other network providers are available.
They are.
But I'm getting 8 gig of data, 600 minutes, 3,000 3-to-3 minutes, and unlimited texts. So I can just take that SIM card with me.
Yep.
Boosh. I can also take my iPhone 6 Plus, 128 gig, trade it in. It was 240 quid with Apple 6 weeks ago. I presume it's going to be a bit less than that now.
Mm-hmm.
I can trade that in for store credit to put towards whatever else I want, and I might be trading me Apple Watch first gen in as well.
Wow.
So that's my news.
Yeah, and I mean, there are a few other things we haven't talked about. So there's now 2 cameras on the back of the phone.
On the 7 Plus, there is, yes.
Oh, just on the Plus. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Which I've just had 2 years of an iPhone 6 Plus, and it's a beautiful piece of kit with a stunning battery life. However, it's just too big.
So you would personally revert down to a 7?
I'm going to a 7, and before the 7 come out, I would have considered the SE, because the SE up until today was basically on par with the 6S for performance. And a beautiful small phone.
And it's got a better processor and all the other bits they normally do.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So so I suppose the advice there is look at one of those plans rather than. I mean, it often works out cheaper to buy the phone outright anyway. But if you buy it without the plan, you're looking at what, £600 for the base for the 30 gig.
Yeah, something like that. Let me just get it up.
I think it's 599, 699, 799.
Yeah, something like that.
And that's just for the regular size. That's not the Plus.
Which is expensive, but it's just Apple, innit?
Well, no, it is. But the thing is, it's something that I mean, I use my iPhone more than anything other than in my work computer. And in fact, I probably use it more because I only use that for a certain amount of time a day. My iPhone's with me all the time, so it can be used at any time. So it's a lot. It is a lot of money for what it is, but it gets used a hell of a lot as well.
Yeah, it's $699 for the 128 gig.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
Beautiful.
I personally, I think 128 sounds good. I think 256 is the next size up, isn't it?
Yeah. And that's an extra £100.
Yeah, I don't personally. I don't see I'd need something that big.
It's all the live photos you see when wifey my wife has got it. My wife has got a 6S, and every photograph she takes is a live photograph. It just takes a little bit more data than a normal photograph.
Okay.
You know, and with every camera performance, the size of your photograph file is going up. So and the albums, you used to be able to download an album for 30 megabytes of data. They're now like 120 megabytes of data. I don't know where it all, so stuff like that. You can very quickly fill. Although the most I've ever got up to is about 70 gig on my 128 gig iPhone 6 Plus.
Okay.
So.
And there was another launch today as well, which I'll only mention in passing. Don't want to talk too much about it because we're going to be talking about this genre of things later on. But the new PS4 has been announced.
Oh, well, I just want to step over that. Potentially the biggest news out of the event.
Oh, the Apple event?
Yeah.
Yep.
Was Mario will be coming to iOS.
That's not the biggest news, surely.
Oh, I wet my pants.
Why?
Mario Run.
Exactly. Oh, great, another running game.
But it's the classic Mario game. But he just runs automatically, and it's one finger operation. You're playing Mario with one finger.
Do a lot of one finger.
It's in the App Store now. You can go and look at the video, and you can get a notification when it launches. And it's not an in-app purchase. It's a one price. It's a one-time deal. So you can buy the game and play it till your finger bleeds. So
is that the new version of the U2 album? Is that to make up for giving everyone a crappy U2 album? Have a free Mario game?
Well, it's not a free game. It's not out yet. It's just in the App Store, so you can look at it.
Yeah.
And you push a button for the notification when it launches. So, but you'll know anyway.
That's pretty big though, because I don't think I've ever seen a notify me button for an app before.
No, it is brand new. I think this is the first app it's come out for.
Bit of Puckers trivia for you then.
PlayStation 4.
Yeah. Yeah. So PlayStation 4 Pro, I think it's called.
Now, the Xbox relaunched last week, didn't it?
I don't know. I've got to be honest, and this is going to upset people that like video games and stuff. I'm not really. I had an Xbox 360, but I've not bought into the Xbox One at all.
Yeah, the new Xbox One come out last week. Very sleek, clean. It looks like a cereal box.
It's got a picture of a giant cock on it.
Yeah.
Or monkey, depending on your cereal preference, obviously.
I love cocks and I love monkeys.
Yeah, who doesn't?
Yeah.
Cock-a-doodle-doo. So, PS4, well, we thought it was going to be called the Neo, and it's come out and it's been announced as the Pro. And this is coming out just in time, just after PlayStation VR.
All right, okay.
But it looks like PlayStation VR is not exclusive to PS4 Pro. That'll work on all models of PlayStation 4.
Well, what is PlayStation VR?
VR?
VR. Virtual reality.
It's the headset. It's the headset that's coming out, and there's a cracking Batman game that's coming out for it. They've been demonstrating Star Wars Battlefront on it as well, which will be amazing.
Could you have a FIFA game with VR?
I'd imagine so. I don't know. I've not looked too much into it. A few years ago, I mean it's just launching now, but a few years ago I was playing with Oculus Rift, which is the first one that kind of like the first attempt at doing virtual reality for a long time. Because I remember. Do you remember virtual reality in like the early 90s? Those really big heavy headsets. And do
you remember the Craig Charles TV show on Channel 4, the game show?
Hang on, what was the Craig Charles one? Oh God, yes. I think it was the BBC actually, but I know what you're talking about, and that was all virtual reality, wasn't it?
Yeah. It might have been BBC Two, yeah.
Because Channel 4 had Games Master.
Oh yeah, Games Master, yeah.
Dominic Diamond and Dexter Fletcher, and Sky had Games World, and I do remember the Craig Charles one. I think it was called like Cyber World or something, but yeah, that was all virtual reality, and it was people wearing the things. It was a really because virtual reality graphics back then were really odd looking things,
blocky,
weren't they? Very blocky. It was a good experience. I remember playing it in an arcade, and I remember like thinking, this is cool. I can see this working, but I think it was just too clunky. And I know a lot of people got headaches and stuff for it, but I demoed this Oculus Rift thing about 3 years ago, and it was a roller coaster thing, and it was a bit like Big Thunder Mountain. That was the kind of style of roller coaster it was, and I remember you going up like a big lift hill, and you could like look around, like literally 360 degrees, look around and see like birds flying in the sky and everything. The graphics weren't great, but the actual concept itself was, and you could see it had real potential. And then obviously Facebook bought Oculus Rift, and now everyone's trying to get in on the action. And I think PlayStation's probably the most likely to succeed out of it. But PlayStation Pro, so it's just a higher powered PlayStation. What's interesting though is that this isn't a replacement; it's an upgrade. And so just for example, if you wanted to go and buy a PlayStation Pro and you wanted to play me on something like FIFA, you would obviously have like amazing graphics when you were playing it, but I could still play against you on my PlayStation 4. And it's going to be HDR, which obviously we're used to with iPhones and stuff like that. But that's also going to be made available on the PlayStation 4 and the other newly announced machine, which is the PlayStation 4 Slim.
You see, I got a launch day PlayStation 4.
Okay.
And I don't give it the time it deserves because I've got a family and I work and all that. So I play FIFA basically with my mate or ISS Pro. And that's as far as it goes. We both bought the Tiger Woods game. Not the Tiger Woods, you can't say that name anymore, can you? The golf game.
Rory, is it Rory?
Rory McGrath, yeah.
It's Rory McGrath's golf.
Yeah.
I love Rory McGrath's golf game.
He's just bladdered.
Yeah.
Rory McIlroy.
Rory McIlroy, that's the one.
We bought that. Now this is a £50 game, and we got it for £20 on Amazon. And then we were on holiday when we both ordered it. When we got home, it had been delivered. When we turned the PlayStation on and went into our PlayStation stores, because we are PlayStation Plus subscribers,
Aye.
you could get that game for £5.
No way.
Way.
That is crazy town. Although I imagine that's probably because, like, PGAs like FIFA's, they update them every year, don't they, with little tweaks.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that. I've got. I bought a PlayStation 4 last year. I bought it because my wife knew that I wanted the new Batman game, and it was only on PlayStation 4 or Xbox One. I could have it on PlayStation 3, so she gave me some money for my birthday, and the kids did, so I could treat myself to one. And I got the revised one. So last year they revised the PlayStation 4, so it's a bit quieter. It's apparently not as temperamental as the early versions of the console. I think there's been 3 upgrades since the launch console.
Mine spits the disc out every so often and just crashes for no reason.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm lucky in that the new one doesn't seem to have any of those kind of issues. Mine's been pretty reliable, actually. I don't think I've had a single issue with it. Excuse me? That's my dog, everyone. I don't know what he's... my dog! And like you, I don't get much time to play on it properly, but I do have... I got bought for my birthday this year Lego Star Wars The Force Awakens, which is very good, very fun. I've also got Star Wars Battlefront for Christmas, which, if you like Star Wars, is great, but it's really an online-only game. There's no story mode or anything like that, so...
That's what put me off.
If you can get it, I mean, you can probably get it now for about 20 quid, and it's worth that. It's worth a punt. And if you get it, we'll set up a session, we'll play that together. But I don't play, like you, I don't play as much on it as I like. I have bought the Warriors for it, because that was on sale the other day. And I used to have that on the PlayStation 2 and I loved it. However, like most of the games in that store, like the retro games, like HD remakes, the Warriors is literally a PlayStation 2 port, so the graphics are still pretty cruddy.
Oh,
Plays
I
well,
remember
but,
that, yeah.
Yeah, it's a good game, but yeah, I was disappointed it wasn't an HD remake. And also bought Tron Run R. So to like running games.
I've got that. It's pants.
What?
Yeah.
Music's good, graphics are good.
The music's amazing.
Yeah, it's not as good as a film, but it's still a good soundtrack for the game. It is. And I only paid like £6 for it or something, so I think it was good value for that. I wouldn't have paid full price for it. But I've also been buying a lot of the Infinity stuff. Now that's been discontinued.
The Disney Infinity.
Disney Infinity, yeah.
That was why someone hasn't sued Disney for that. That was an absolute disgrace.
Why would you sue them?
Well, because could you imagine if you've actually shelled out all the money to buy everything, and this was a game that's going to evolve, and we're going to add to it, and we're going to evolve, and the graphics are going to get better. You're going to get upgrades.
Yeah,
it literally lasted 2 years.
It's lasted 3 years. They've done 3 versions of it. This was coming into it. This would have been its 4th year, its 4th version of. But the thing is, like, they're turning off eventually. I don't know. They're turning some of it off this year, but the online stuff, some of that will be going. But the games themselves will still be there. I'm too old to start messing about with the Minecraft Lego side of the game of like building your own worlds and stuff like that. I just want to get into playing the game itself. So I've got like Guardians of the Galaxy, I've got Inside Out, I've got Star Wars, the original trilogy Star Wars.
Can you buy it and not have to have all the little toys?
So the main thing, if anyone's listening to this who hasn't got Infinity or hasn't played it but is tempted to buy some now, it's as cheap as it is, because you're looking now at probably £5 for a figure, where they used to be about 12-15 quid. The game you can get for about 10-15 quid. And there's a few elements here. So you get figures, and they're the characters you'll actually play in the games, right? And then you get play sets, and they normally come packed with 2 figures. So there was a Toy Story one, and you got what did you get? You got Buzz and Jessie, and you got a little play piece, like it was a crystal shape Buzz Lightyear spaceship.
Why would you want Buzz and Jessie?
Right, hang on. So that was who you got in that pack. Then there was a Cars one where you got Lightning McQueen and Mater, I want to say, can't remember, or Sally, and you got a Piston Cup play piece. Guardians of the Galaxy come with one. There was a Spider-Man one, and basically, if you buy a 2-pack, they would come. A lot of them, not all of them, would come with a clear plastic play piece with it in between the 2 figures. That little play piece would be the world that you play in. So if you got the Cars one, you got the Cars land, you got the Cars story levels and all that kind of stuff, right? If you got the Spider-Man one, same thing. The Avengers, it was Tony Stark's Avengers apartment was a play piece. So you need the play pieces to play as the actual story. But if you buy the figures, you can use the figures in the offline mode, or the I think it's called the toy box mode, that's what it's called, which is where you can kind of go and make your own levels and everything like that. You can still do all that stuff in the game, it's just that you won't be able to download people's created levels and all that kind of stuff going forward. But you can still play the games.
Don't you think because they've basically had people off, they should now just let you unlock everything in the game, give you full access? Here's all the characters on us because we've had you off, we've shit on you.
I don't see, the thing is, I don't know. I mean, look, they've stopped doing it because it's not making them money. It's a loss. It was a loss leader, and it turned out to be making more losses than it was any kind of game.
Well, the typical Disney, they've come in 5 years after the bubbles burst. You know, Sky Rangers or whatever they're called was massive. Now that's died a death. But as that's coughing up blood and dying a death, Disney launches their idea. Yeah, which was a blatant rip-off.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I mean, and to be fair, Lego have done the same thing. Last year, Lego launched Dimensions. Now, what's good about Lego Dimensions is the fact the licenses they've got are crazy. Right? I don't know if you've actually looked into this, because I can't justify buying Lego Dimensions because I think it's about 90 quid or something for the starter pack. Right? So there's a lot of money to lay out on a game. But if you go into like a Toys R Us or other toy and video game retailers are available, but if you go in there and see the Lego sets you can buy, and it works like Infinity, you get like a little game piece that will be the level for whatever the toys are, right? You can buy Doctor Who, you can buy The Simpsons, you can buy Back to the Future, you can buy Gremlins, you can buy Mission Impossible, you can buy Harry Potter, you can buy Lord of the Rings.
Gremlins? Did you say Gremlins?
Gremlins, right? Wait, right. Gremlins is coming out in either this month or next month. It's coming out soon. It was in the teaser trailer. The A-Team, they've got one coming out. The licenses they've got are ridiculous. Ghostbusters, both males and females. It's crazy, absolutely crazy. So that I can see why that might have a bit more longevity, and also Lego have a lot of success with their games as it is anyway, so they might have a bit more money behind them. I've always felt with Disney, they've always kind of, I don't know, they've not really played their cards right when it's come to making video games and stuff like that. There was that big push a few years ago when they did Epic Mickey and Tron. And at that point they were taking video games a bit more seriously, but that kind of died a death as well. And as soon as Disney Infinity, you know, they've like let it live for 3 years. It's not made them money. They pulled the plug on it, and that seems to be it for Disney games. I think they're better off just doing what they used to do in the past and letting somebody else make the games.
Maybe.
I mean, do you remember like the old Aladdin game?
Yeah,
they were fun.
Yeah, and wasn't there a Lion King game, which was basically the Aladdin game?
Yep, but with a lion.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there was a Hercules game, which was like the Lion King game.
And
But
and
with
all of
Hercules.
them were basically the RoboCop game or the Batman game.
Oh man, I used to love both of those games. Especially what I liked with RoboCop was the fact that to regain your health, you had to eat baby food,
Yeah.
which is of course from the film, but even so, did make me laugh when that was something. Well, already we've already gone off on loads of different tangents. Was there anything else that before we kind of go over to the other things we got asked to talk about? Was there anything else you wanted to bring up?
You had the idea of what was your first computer game console device?
That's correct.
Now there's a few, although we both look the same age, there's a few years between us.
Just a couple.
So I'm 42, you're 32, if I remember rightly.
Just turned 33. Yeah.
Oh, catching up.
Ever so slowly.
Yeah. So for me, my first console was way back in 1980, and it was the VIC-20.
So that was actually before I was born.
Oh God.
Only just though. And just think, I mean, if you think that's bad, that was only 3 years before I was born. How many years was that before Amanda was born?
Oh God.
Do you know what I mean? That's when it starts getting really scary. You think about it like that. Okay, so the VIC-20. So that was quite a popular machine. I remember that being quite popular at the time.
It was Commodore based. Now the prices I've got up here are $299 as the introductory price. I seem to remember an advert in the UK for £199. It might have been £299. I can remember that the big hook was you got change of a penny because it was 99 pence. You got a penny change.
That was their big advertising push. You buy this for £200, you get a penny back.
Yeah. Now listen to the memory. 20 kilobytes of ROM and 5 kilobytes of RAM, expandable to 32 kilobytes.
32 kilobytes. I don't even know what that is. Well, I know I do. It's extremely tiny. That's like what you'd get on a watch.
Well, a George Michael single now is about 4 megabytes.
Mm.
So there you go. The graphics, 116.
And let's go back to that last statement.
Go on.
Any reason for George Michael?
He just come into me face. He just come into me head.
Yeah, no, I think you was right the first time. Okay.
Yeah. So I can remember a night of entertainment with the VIC-20, the Commodore VIC-20. Was you've bought the latest VIC-20 magazine, which would hold pages and pages of computer programming, which you had to type in. And if you made one mistake, the whole game would it would crash after 2 seconds, or it just wouldn't load at all. And the games were Snake, like Nokia phone Snake, if you were lucky. And then we did upgrade in about 84 to the Amstrad 464.
Yeah, some people wouldn't say that's an upgrade, but
well,
and a Commodore to an Amstrad.
Let's have a little look, shall we? Because I think graphically it was quite a. Where's that gone? I'm getting all old now. I'm trying to find it again.
You're getting all old now.
Yeah. Now this one had a tape deck built into it.
Okay.
In the keyboard, so you would load the tape in. You would type in run.
Yep.
And off it would go. Now the game that I can remember, or the games for this, you're still not born. Are you born yet? Or you one?
Yeah. I'm one. Yep.
Okay. Was Chucky Egg?
Yep.
Manic Miner?
Yep.
Jet Set Willy?
Of course.
Now, would you have played all these as a little toddler?
Right. So, well, carry on with what you've got to say, and I'll come on to that. But I think of all of those, I think the only one we had was Chucky Egg, but that's because I don't think Jet Set Willy was on my first computer.
All right, okay.
So
Well, you might have...
I know of them, but I don't think I ever played them at that age.
Did you have Monty Mole then?
No. Anyway, carry on with yours. We'll come on to one in a minute.
Right, well, the memory in the Amstrad 464 was 64 kilobytes.
No kilobytes.
Or if you were posh, 128 kilobytes, which you could expand to 576 kilobytes. So it literally pissed all over the Commodore VIC-20.
See, like Apple, are you listening to this? Even back then, you could expand stuff, and still no expansion on Apple product. Well, on their phones at least, anyway.
And I'm looking at the photographs of this computer, and we spent hundreds of hours on this as a family. My brother and sister, we would spend hours playing the Rocky Horror Show game, the Ghostbusters game, Daley Thompson's Decathlon.
Now, the Ghostbusters game.
Yes.
Right, so I'll tell you what, right, I'll jump in here. So I'll talk to you about my first computer.
Okay.
In fact, before we do, shall we give Wendy a plug?
Wendy from
Magical Journeys Travel.
Magical Journeys Travel. She's absolutely beautiful. She's agreed to sponsor Universal After Dark as well as disafterdark. So there you go. I haven't got the script in front of me. I can't remember what the script is.
If you mention us, and I mean, it was always if you mention Disaster Dark, but I think if you mention any of the After Dark Podcast Network shows, you'll still get the $25 off your deposit.
Yeah, and you can follow her on Twitter at WP
Magic Journeys.
Magic Journeys, and the website is
wpmagicjourneys.com.
So go and hit Wendy up, tell her we sent you, and hopefully soon we'll be playing a shiny Wendy advert with her beautiful, sexy voice.
That's right. Lovely Wendy. So, back on, and my first computer, well, I say my first computer, it wasn't. It was my dad's. I mean, this is obviously back in the days when my father wouldn't have disowned me, so he let me play on such things. And the first computer we had was almost similar to you, a Commodore 64.
Oh, yeah.
Now, a Commodore 64, so I remember playing on it. I've got a really odd memory in that I can remember some things from when I was quite young. So like about the age of about 3 or 4, we've worked it out to be the things that I talk about or I have memories of. And the first game I really remember playing on the Commodore 64 was Bruce Lee.
Vaguely.
Now, Bruce Lee had some cracking music that went over and over, pretty much, and you had to collect lanterns. And it was a side-scrolling game, very basic graphics, and you had to collect these lanterns by jumping up and picking them up. And you had a green sumo man and a black ninja, and they were the villains, and you could flying kick them. Very, very good. And it was the first game I ever completed at the age of about 5. It was only 30 screens long. It wasn't a particularly long game, but at the time it felt like a massive, massive achievement. And I had Ghostbusters. So when you said that, I was like, oh. Now, Ghostbusters on the Commodore 64, because sometimes the games would be very similar on Amstrad and Spectrum and Commodore 64. Like graphically they'd be different, but the games would be the same. I remember with Ghostbusters, you had to you had like the little ghost logo, and you used to move it around the screen to like enter buildings and stuff like that.
Move it around the map, yeah.
That's right, yeah. Okay, so
and to go in the building would start flashing red.
Yep.
And you would have to circle that building to activate it, I think, to go into it.
Yep.
And then you would go to a screen where you had to put your trap down,
Yeah.
The Slimer would be sliming around. It was always a Slimer, I seem to remember.
Yep.
And then you would knock across the streams, and you would
not cross the streams
and capture them.
Yeah. I remember a few years later after that. There's some pop. So I remember Ghostbusters, and I played that a lot. I didn't have Daley Thompson, but I did have Track and Field, which was the other version of Daley Thompson. I had Frank Bruno, I think it was called Frank Bruno Punch-Out.
Something like that,
it was a rip-off of the Nintendo game. We used to have loads of games. Now, you mentioned a cassette deck. We had a cassette deck, but ours was an external one.
Yeah, standalone, yeah.
Yep. And I also had the floppy disk drive.
Whoa, you were well posh.
Now, the thing is, right, kids today don't even know what a floppy disk is. But when I was at school, a floppy disk was normally a little blue disk, about 3.5 inches long, with a little silver bit at the front that slid around, right? But on a Commodore 64, they were proper floppy disks. Like, they literally were floppy because they were big and thin and a big hole in the middle.
Yeah.
And you used to be able to play games on there. And the benefit of that was they used to they used to run a lot quicker. I remember buying games on cassette, and one in particular was Aliens. Right.
Oh,
so
I remember that.
We had the game of Aliens. Now, there was a couple of different versions, but the one I had was supposed to be based. It was called the US version, and the US version was basically like the arcade game where instead of it being like a puzzle game, it would be like a side-scrolling thing. And the first level was you flying the dropship, and you had to land it on the planet. And then what you'd do is you'd wait ages for the tape to load up the game. You'd have that level, and then it would say, turn over the tape.
Oh.
And you have to turn over the tape after completing the first level and wait for it to load again. And the thing is, like, and Craig, you're the test of this, like, we're not talking like a couple of like minutes that you might get on a PlayStation sometimes. You would sometimes have to leave cassettes to like load up for like 10 minutes, if not more.
Well, when the Apple TV 4th Gen come out at the end of last year, there was outrage because you could install an app, a game, and it would give you the very basics of the game, but then it would download what it needed as the game went on. Oh. And you're talking seconds, 5, 10, 15 seconds at a max just to download the next level of your Apple TV 4th Gen game. With these games, you're talking 15 minutes.
Oh, easy. I mean, I remember putting a game on with like when I was going to go and have my tea, putting it on, going downstairs, having like my dinner, finish it, going back upstairs, and it still hadn't loaded.
But you could also, because you listened to that computer program, if you played the game over and over and over and over, you knew the noise of that computer program.
Yeah. No, you're right.
And you could tell if there was an imperfection on the tape because the noise would make a different tone, say 30 seconds in, and you would go, that's going to crash that. That's not going to work now.
No.
And then a few seconds later, the computer would crash. Absolutely unbelievable.
Honestly, kids today, you don't know you're born when it comes to this stuff. Now, the memory on a Commodore 64 was 64 kilobit of RAM and 20 kilobit of ROM. And do you know how much it cost?
I'm going to guess $595.
Might be something like that, Craig. You might be looking at the same Wikipedia page that I am. It's £1,481.25 in today's money.
That's bizarre. That's sickening. When you think you can go into Apple now and buy the brand new iPad Pro, top of the line, 256 gig, and it's cheaper than that.
Mm-hmm.
And you could literally fly a spaceship with that.
Yep. Or you could control the lights in a Disney store.
Yeah.
Because I've seen what they do with that. that's for another podcast, I imagine.
Have you seen what people have started to do now? I was watching on Facebook yesterday. You can go into a stereophonic shop or electric shop at Curry's or whatever. You can connect your iDevice or whatever Android device to a Bluetooth speaker, and then you can turn the volume up dead loud and play porn.
Not that we like agree with that.
No,
something we say.
But if you do it, send us the video.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We'll have that. We'll have the video. We'll have the audio. We'll put the video on the website, and the audio will play out on the podcast.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we don't mind that. We're not going to condone it, but we're certainly not going to tell you not to send it in to us if you choose to do so.
Well, do you want to carry this on, or do you want to go back to it, and we'll go into the 90s then, and the introduction of Sega and how
I think that's not a bad place to leave it, because I mean it would have been because I would have asked this to the rest of the people on the show. So we'll ask them next week.
Have you seen when the Commodore 64 was discontinued?
No, I didn't see that actually.
April 1994.
Well, I remember, because late on in its life, so we're talking pre-Mega Drive, but post-Master System, or pre-NES and post-NES and pre-SNES, that the Commodore 64 then like relaunched with cartridges. Because I had a friend that had one of those, and the graphics were a lot better, and it was a lot quicker to run, obviously, than the cassettes were. And that was about 88, 89, I think. I remember he had Fiendish Freddy's Big Top of Fun, which is a weird game. As the name suggests, it was a circus-themed game. Yeah, so that doesn't surprise me that it lasted longer than you'd expect it to.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think what we should do, so we'll leave that there. So that's our story of our first computers, or the first kind of video games that we played. We'll ask the same thing to our guests on the next edition of this, and also to you listening, if you want to let us know what your firsts were, then we'll talk about it. And yeah, next time we'll talk about, because I didn't get a console until quite late on. I had my Commodore 64 and an Amiga later on, but I didn't have a console for a while, so it'd be interesting to see when people first got those. So we'll talk about that on another one. But
well, drop us an email at disafterdark@gmail.com, and we'll read them out.
Yeah.
And all I'll say is I always picked the wrong console. That's all I'll say.
Did you pick Betamax by any chance?
We didn't, but Stuart Holland, my mate, did.
Not the Holmeister, for the second time in about 4 shows.
Yeah.
Blimey, he's getting around. Well, if you're listening, email
He won't
us.
be. He won't remember.
Yeah, you never know. You never know. So we had a few. We asked if there was any topics that we wanted to talk about, and we got a few. Now, we haven't got time to talk about all of them tonight, but that's good, because that's future content as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
So, sorry, Gary, I will ignore your question just because we've asked it and answered it on the podcast before. But let's go with Jed Penner, who asked us 2 questions, and I'm going to go with one of them, and we'll do the other one on probably the next show or the show after. And one of his questions was, what is your most embarrassing pop culture toy or item you have ever purchased? Now, the thing is, we've got a bit of experience between us, so we'd have been there for a lot of movie toys, a lot of odd merchandise. I don't think you get as much merchandise for big films now as you used to. Like, if you remember, like when the first Batman, not the first ever Batman film, but I'm talking the '89 Batman, when it made a resurgence, you could get Batman everything.
Yeah.
And I think the only thing that comes close now is Star Wars.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. I mean, I'm struggling here because I want to hear what you got first to see if it'll jog any memories or because I don't necessarily buy. I've got like 4 Vinylmations, for example.
Nah, I don't even think they're that embarrassing, really. And I have to say that because I've got a lot more than you have. But I'm trying to really think about some stuff that I've got. I would say the weirdest thing. I can't remember if I mentioned this before on another show, but the weirdest pop culture item I've got is, in some ways, probably Shaving Fun Ken, a Barbie doll that I've never ever opened and bought just because it made me laugh in the shop. Not that long ago, actually, probably about 10 years ago, I bought that. It's a much older toy. I think it's like early 90s, but I didn't buy it all that long ago.
Oh,
It was
okay, yeah. I've
responsible.
got something. I've got some.
Okay. I've got some more, but I'll let you go with your next one.
So, well, I need to know shaving fun,
Yeah,
Ken.
shaving fun Ken. Yeah.
So, where's he shaving?
It's a Barbie doll. Of course, it's his face.
But has he got piabs? Because that's what everyone wants to know.
Has he got what?
Piabs,
I don't speak Scouse.
pubes, piabs.
Oh, I didn't check. I said I never opened it, but
So,
the advert suggested it was just his face.
and how did you shave it? Was it
It was
was there
one of the,
a little switch where you would make a stubble appear, or like?
no, it was the opposite actually. So he had very fashionable early 90s George Michael stubble, like designer stubble, and then it came with a kind of razor looking like thing, but it was like a foam head on it
Yeah.
rather than obviously like a metal or plastic blade. And I'm assuming, as I said, I've never tried it, so I'm just assuming, but I'm sure it's a YouTube video or something. You wet it, and as you use that magic brush, that magic razor on his face, the 5 o'clock shadow disappeared.
Oh, you could well put a nice little air strip on him.
Oh no! I mean, the thing is, if I was able to get access to it and I would. Just
Where is he?
Oh, it's like every decent thing I've got from my childhood. It's at my parents, so it'll never ever be seen again.
So it's been burned on a bonfire
It's
then.
not, no, because I know them, and it wouldn't be because they wouldn't want to do it, but I know they're too lazy to do it. That's what it comes down to. So it's all there. I've got so much stuff like that. I'll tell you, I'll give you some other examples before you give your one over. So that's quite embarrassing. I had a Britney Spears doll. I didn't have. No, I didn't. No, I thought I had Spice Girls. I never got Spice Girls ones, but I did get a Britney Spears one, and it was Britney Spears. Hit Me Baby One More Time. So in the schoolgirl outfit. It never left the box. I just had it on a shelf. I know what people will think of me. That's 2 items now that are both girls' dolls. But I never actually played with girls' toys. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It was just stuff that I thought was quite fun to have on my shelf. What else embarrassing do I have? I think that's probably about it. I'll tell you what else. Odd, but not necessarily embarrassing. I had a talking Steve Irwin action figure. Where
Steve Irwin.
As in the crocodile hunter.
Yeah.
Or you press a button on him and you go, Shoof, look at the size of that croc. And I had... what else is kind of embarrassing? I had and this is good actually, I had a cuddly toy of Mr. Bigglesworth. Now, do you know who Mr. Bigglesworth is?
I know the name.
Yeah.
But I can't put a face to him.
Well, you won't, it's a cat. But Mr. Bigglesworth was Dr. Evil's cat from Austin Powers, that hair.
Yeah.
Now, there used to be a shop in Southend that used to always sell out of interest stuff. So this was probably a couple of years after the Austin Powers film had come out. And I used to always sell like old South Park toys and all that kind of stuff, really cheap. And I had this cat for about £2. And I thought that would be great if I ever wanted to dress up like Dr. Evil. I'll take a punt on £2. This cat just sat on a shelf for years. I thought it was funny. Everyone else thought it was ridiculous. So eventually, I was told to just get rid of it. And I said, no. I'm sure it's worth some money, even if it's just a few quid. So my wife said, put it on eBay. You won't get anything for it. I put it on for £1. Sold for 46.
Nice.
Yeah. So that showed her about my crappy cat. So that's probably the most embarrassing pop culture stuff I've got. But I will tell you this, Jed, if I do think of anything else, I will definitely mention it on another show. But what about yourself, Craig?
Right, well, you've already stole some of my thunder there.
Oh, man.
I have got in the loft
a
complete set of Spice Girls dolls.
Yeah!
Because obviously it's the 90s, 97 I think they exploded, or 96.
Yep.
I got married in 98, I was 24. So despite, I'm into Oasis, I'm into Blair, Supergrass,
Yep.
All that type of stuff.
Yep.
But the Spice Girls, I got caught up in the emotion, the wave of euphoria about them.
Oh, yeah.
The videos were just stunning. And I'm going to say, I went out and I've got the dolls in the loft somewhere.
That's awesome, man.
Now, to follow that up, fast forward to, what, about 5 years ago, High School Musical 3 comes out.
Yep.
And our Eve, who's now 12, she would have been about 5 or 6, I think, when that come out.
Yep.
And again, I took her to the pictures for their second viewing of the film. My first viewing of the film, I got sucked up in it. Quite an emotional ending, to be honest. So I've got a set of High School Musical 3 dolls as well. And
that's pretty.
That's embarrassing. And but they are going to pay my mortgage off when they do High School Musical 4, the reunion, and they're all ex-crack addicts and whatnot.
Some of them are now.
Now, I mean, talking your Mr. Bigglesworth, I saved up with PG Tips and sent off to buy my wife a large, life-size monkey.
A large, life-size monkey?
Not human size, I mean actual in the adverts size monkey, because you can get them free with some of the PG Tips, can't you? And he's
but they're quite small ones.
Small. This was a nice big. It was a weapon, basically.
Wow.
It was nice. He could sit on your knee. He was lovely, and we had him for a few years on a shelf. Monkey.
Oh, monkey.
I used to put Vaseline in his mouth. No, never.
Well, actually, that has reminded me, right? Two things. Firstly, no, not that. Not the last thing you said. So two things. First of all, the Spice Girls dolls, right? Because I remember those really well when they first come out. I remember at that time there was a lot of. They went through a phase of doing like musical dolls of those kind of things, because I remember they did some for Bewitched. They've got to be worth nothing, surely.
Where are Bewitched now?
Well, that's a question, isn't it? I know they did. Some of them did a reunion a few years ago on TV. I saw some of that. They did Bewitched ones. I remember them doing ones for Steps as well.
Do you think they had Westlife ones?
Yeah, No, they definitely had Westlife ones. And what was the other ones? Oh, I tell you what, my favourite ones were NSYNC, right? Because they did an album cover that was them as like puppets, and they made dolls of those puppets. And I remember buying an ex-girlfriend a Justin Timberlake puppet. It was basically just like a Barbie doll of him, but turned into like a puppet with strings and stuff. That was quite weird. But I remember, like when you said about Monkey and talk about stuff like that, the summer of '99, probably the best summer of my life, and I was
How
walking
old?
past.
How old are you at this point?
99, just turned 16.
So you're an
Yeah.
Essex wide boy. So you've got the fanny part. You've got the.
I've got a pair of fake. What was those loafers called? What were those Essex loafers? Every git used to wear them.
I've got no idea.
Someone's gonna tell me. Someone's gonna tell me. Not tonight though. And what was the other things? Evisu jeans, Duffer jumpers, all that kind of crap. Anyway, no, I didn't have any of that stuff. But I remember walking past the Levi's shop in my local shopping centre.
Peckham.
No, unfortunately not. No, it was Lakeside. Well, actually, that wasn't my local, but it was one I used to go to a lot. So we went to Thurrock Lakeside. They had a Levi's shop, and I was walking past it. And I thought, oh, what's that? No, surely not. I walked in there. No, not jeans, not t-shirts. No. Flat Eric.
Oh,
Now, at this time, I think the advert had been on TV for a couple of months. Everyone was obsessed with that stupid song, and loved that advert of him bopping his head to the song in the car. And they had Flat Eric puppets, and I'm sure it was 20 or 25 quid I paid for it. And I honestly thought it was the best money I'd ever spent at that point. And I think I played with it for about 5 minutes, got bored of it, and it just sat in my room gathering dust.
I've literally I've filed that away, and I'm having to go on YouTube as we speak.
Yeah.
And look for Flat Eric.
I completely forgot. It was only when you mentioned Monkey, and then all of a sudden it came back into my head. I haven't thought about Flat Eric in years.
Oh God.
Yeah.
I'm sure I had a hand puppet of him.
Well, eventually, so like that was something you could buy in the Levi's store. And you could only buy it in Levi's, but eventually you could buy them everywhere. So like, that wouldn't surprise me if you did, and you could get him for the car with like suction cup hands, and but he basically became the new
Golden the Gopher.
No, well, yeah, I suppose in a way. No, I was thinking more. Do you remember Garfield was popular, but do you remember when they did the Grimmy dogs that had the Garfield towel coming out of his mouth? Do you remember those?
No.
So you like everyone had Garfield in their cars in like the 80s, and then there was a dog called Grimmy, and Grimmy was like the anti Garfield, and then you could buy a cuddly toy of Grimmy. I think he was called Grimmy anyway, something like that. Anyway, this dog had Garfield's towel coming out of his mouth, and he used to have a badge on it to say "Curiosity killed the cat." And it was the same time. Do you remember that so I saw a lot of those, and also the ones of the old man that used to pull his pants down to moon you. Do you remember those?
Yeah, I remember them. You'd push the air controlled.
That's right. Yeah. You used to, like have a little pump thing. Yeah, he used to pull his trousers down and moon you. Yeah. Grimmy dogs. I'm sure they were called Grimmy dogs. Oh, I'm gonna look it up now. Anyway, that's some embarrassing stuff, but.
Well, there's another show topic, isn't it? Kids TV characters, like Bobby the Banana, Gordon the Gopher.
We could go on. That could run and run and run and run. But
that's got to have its own show, hasn't it?
Oh, easy. But I think like we just said with that, with like the other topic about computers and stuff like that. If you have got memories of buying embarrassing pop culture memorabilia, let us know. Because
if you've got photographs,
even better. Yeah, and I think we should definitely put some stuff on the Facebook page and maybe even the website as well. But what I'd like from this show as well is just, it's quite random, but I'd like to have more interaction. And to be honest, today we only put that question on that Facebook page today, and we got quite a lot of interactions, probably more than when we asked for Dis After Dark questions, actually.
Yeah.
Maybe because this show's so broad. So I'd really love for you listening to this show to contribute. Just email us, message us on the Facebook page, Message us privately, whatever it is, tweet us with your contributions. We'd love to hear from you, and we would include it for future shows. So yeah, and it was called Grimmy. Yeah, Grimmy the dog. There you go. I'll try and find a picture of the actual cuddly toy and stick it on our website. But yeah, I mean, we've been going for about an hour or so now, so I don't want to overstay our welcome, because we don't want to be like, well, actually, that leads us nicely as we do nice segues on our show normally. We don't want to outstay our welcome. And speaking about things that outstay their welcome, Craig, we were going to talk about some podcasts.
Yeah. Now, I love podcasts, and I'm not going to shout out any Disney podcasts. I'm not going to shout out any Universal podcasts. You know where they are. What I will shout out is the Strike podcast. Go and give that a listen, because I like it, because I'm on it. But I'm talking just any pod. I think, Nick, you listen to podcasts that aren't just Disney and Universal. You know, so let's broaden people's horizons here.
Yep.
So I think several years ago now, I got you onto 2 or 3. Well, I'm going to reference 3 podcast episodes that you need to go and listen to as our listeners to this show. So the first one is Tell 'em Steve Dave.
Yeah.
Now, Tell 'em Steve Dave has just celebrated its 300th episode. And that 300th episode was 3 hours and 42 minutes long, and it was genius.
It was the only thing I am going to say on it. The best thing about Tell 'em Steve Dave is the fact that it's quite self-reference.
Yes.
If that's even what I mean. But what I mean is there's like a lot of in-jokes, a lot of things that are brought up from previous shows. So I agree that 300 is a fantastic episode, but it may not be an ideal episode for a first timer.
What I would suggest is go and reference Tell 'em Steve Dave. Go back to episode 1. Because episode 1 is a very different episode to episode 300, as all podcasts are, because people change and learn and grow. But the Tell 'em Steve Dave boys are basically Kevin Smith's childhood friends. Kevin Smith, the movie director.
Yep.
And they're still on the East Coast, whereas Kevin Smith's on the West Coast now. Walt Flanagan runs Kevin Smith's comic book shop, which is in the TV show Comic Book Men. And there is a lot of in-jokes. There's a lot of... We're trying to build it a little bit with... they've got Tell 'em Steve Dave Town, haven't they? And, you know, there's a lot of... It is a podcast you can get into, but there's 300 of them to get into. And some of them are 2-3 hours long. So
and also on that, because as you say, like Walt and Brian Flanagan are friends from his youth, but it also really introduced the world to Brian Quinn,
yeah,
aka Q from Impractical Jokers.
Exactly. Now that's a segue to the next podcast episode I'm going to.
Oh, beautiful.
And that is, I don't know if you're a listener to this. The What Say You podcast.
Damn right I am.
Right.
Diamond BQ.
Now they are very infrequent with their episodes, but the last episode, Hasselhoff Balls. Have you listened to it?
I listened to it Monday. Yeah.
Now I was actually laughing out loud at this one.
Yeah.
And again, you've got BQ and you've got Sal Volcano.
Yep.
And these two are pure comedy genius. They bounce off each other. They set up these little what ifs.
Yep.
You know, so this whole episode is based on what if your girlfriend turned up and she was a perfect girl. Everything about her is perfect. 99.9% perfect. This is the woman you're going to marry and die with. And she takes her top off and she's got a full tattoo on her chest, right down her body, and it's David Hasselhoff naked with his balls hanging out. What would you do? And you go backwards and forwards through the whole episode, and it literally had me crying. Now, you can go back sometime last year. Yeah, we're talking March, episodes 51, episode 48. So you go back to January last year, and what you do is you start of Fast and Furious 1, the movie.
Yes.
You watch that, then you listen to the podcast that they put out, and again, it just blows the lid off movies with the realism. What you see on the screen that you get sucked into is obviously fake and all that, but it's the real life ramifications that these go into of what's just happened on that film. You know, where half these cities have been destroyed, people have that bank's just exploded while they pulled the safe out. There was 80 people in that bank and they're all dead. You know, and it just goes through like that, and it goes through all the Fast and the Furious films, and it made them films for me. Listen to them.
It gave me a new appreciation, I will say that, but I think so. I agree that the last episode was pretty funny with the David Hasselhoff tattoo, but possibly the funniest podcast I've ever listened to.
Go on.
Actually, episode 19.
Oh,
the title of which is "I Have Your Pants."
I need to remember this one.
This is so. The other thing as well. So, if you've never watched it, both Hugh and Sal Volcano are in Practical Jokers, not the really poor British version, which I just watched tonight for the first time, and it's not very good, but the American Impractical Jokers, which is probably the funniest thing on TV. And this episode is called episode 19, "I Have Your Pants." So all these episodes are still on iTunes as well. And this is a story about when Sal took delivery of a package for his neighbour, and it happened to be some underwear.
Oh, fantastic!
And it is the best. It's one long story that he's telling Q had happened to him recently, and it's absolutely fantastic. It's the funniest thing. I've listened to it numerous times now, and it just brings me to tears. It really does.
I'm downloading it as we speak.
Yeah, it's a very good episode. And you know who else would like that episode as well, don't you?
Go on.
Dave Thomas found at Wendy's.
Who? What?
Dave Thomas found at Wendy's.
Dave Thomas found the Wendy's.
Which is episode 20 and will become my new favourite game.
Okay.
So episodes 19 and 20 are excellent. So there's some good podcast listening for you. Those two shows are great. Another one that we both like is not that the only things we listen to are associated with Kevin Smith, but Hollywood Babble On, which is a show that we can only ever try and aspire to, because that's also quite pop culture, but
it's a satirical look at life in LA, basically, isn't it? With the celebrity news, more
celebrity news than what we'd cover, but and from people that obviously live that lifestyle. So that's always good. That's normally in front of a live audience. Although, have you heard the special episode for yoga hosers?
I haven't yet.
That's pretty brutal. That's quite good. And they're all American. Okay, so you might not like that. I'm sure most of you will have no problem listening to American podcasts, but you might want something that's a bit more UK centric. So I'm going to recommend a podcast that I listen to. Comes out once a week, and it's John Holmes on Talk Radio. Sorry. So this is someone who I've listened to on numerous radio stations over the years. He's now on Talk Radio in the UK, and it's just a kind of topical phone-in show that they do 5 days a week, and the podcast is just the highlights of that week, but there's normally some gems during that. So if you want something with a bit more of a British twist, I'd recommend that.
Oh, there you go. So
there's your homework.
Go and listen. Have you got any others? Is that it for now?
I've got more than that, but I think that's a good starter for 10.
Yeah, definitely.
Or starter for 4. Let's not give all our eggs out at once, but I think there's some good episodes there, and definitely some good recommendations. So yeah, and Craig is someone who loves to listen to podcasts, full stop. So if you've got a podcast that you listen to that you think might be of interest to us and our listeners, let us know.
We'll put it in the show notes. And
but immediately when I say that, one thing I'm going to say right now: Eva Malaby, don't try and send your podcast in. We know about your podcast. It's a poor man's Universal After Dark, and we're not going to plug it on this show.
We're not. Why, aye, man? And now today, Spuggy is going to get shot in the eyes with paint, and he'll go, I'm blind.
Oh, Jeff. And that's that. So, that's it. Thank you for listening. Appreciate it's a bit of a random show, and it's going to evolve, and it's going to maybe it'll get better, maybe it'll get worse. Who knows? This has just been the two of us. There will be other people joining us as we go on, but thank you for giving us a listen.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Feedback is appreciated.
If we get enough listeners, if we get enough positive feedback, there's potential for this show to go onto its own feed, like Universal After Dark has done.
Yep.
We're gonna put a few shows out, just as on the Dis After Dark feed for now, just to see how we're getting on.
Yeah, and then we'll see. And have we got any more shows joining the podcast network, or is that still in negotiation?
Still in negotiation. Obviously the Strike podcast is already in the After Dark podcast network, so we've got 3 shows there. This one, if it lives on, will be a 4th show. So we're taking the world by storm.
Well, to be honest, I think this show's going to live on, even if we just do it just for our entertainment.
I've enjoyed just shooting the shit. We've got stuff on this we can do of, reviewing the year gone by, a year in review of movies, a year in review of games, or just anything. There's it's anything and everything in it. So
Pop After Dark. That means we can talk about whatever the hell we like.
And if anyone wants us to sit down and watch Airplane whilst we're drinking and do a commentary on it, you're more than welcome to join us.
I'm well up for that. I haven't seen Airplane for a few years now.
I haven't seen Airplane in 20 years, and it's on Netflix.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh no! Like when I say, I mean like probably about 4 or 5 years. I watch that every now and again. I like Airplane a lot. Sounds like a plan. Okay, maybe we'll do it as a Christmas special then.
Yeah, surely you can't be serious.
I am, and please don't call me Shirley. And on that note, thank you. And
I'll be back.
Yeah, we'll definitely be back.
That was like a pop culture reference. I'll be back. That's my catchphrase.
That's your catchphrase. I'm sure it's someone else's catchphrase as well.
Well, I've got it now, and if he wants to take it off me, he'll have to come and find me because I'm scouse and hard.
This podcast is part of the After Dark podcast network.